Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. How are you doing today? Hope the sun is shining where you are. Ready for some new stories from Ask a Lawyer? Let's go to the first one, about OP's parents, who refused to give OP's grandma's ring, which was promised to OP, so OP can propose to his girlfriend because his sister will be upset, as she is not married yet. Listen to the story to find out what OP did, and of course to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. My girlfriend's birthday is on Saturday, and I plan on proposing to her. Our anniversary is 6 months from Saturday, April 29th, and I think that would be a great day for our wedding. When my grandma died, she left all kinds of jewelry to my mom. She always said if I wanted one of her rings to give to a woman in the future, she would let me pick. I know my mom knows she said this. I asked my mom for one of the rings, but my mom said not yet. She and my dad said my sister will be upset if I get engaged while she is still single and not married. It's not a secret that she's desperate to get married, but that's not my problem. My sister turned 29 in March, and I turned 31 last month. My parents said she'll be upset if I get married a month after her 30th birthday. So I went out today and bought a ring. It was never about money because I can afford to buy one. I thought it would be special to give my girlfriend a family ring. I'm still proposing on Saturday despite my parents forbidding me to. I'm just pissed off that they asked me to hold off until my sister is married when she isn't even in a relationship. Pisses me off, but I don't want anything to spoil my girlfriend's birthday. What if OP's sister never gets married? Is OP supposed to never get married too? Never have kids? Never buy a house? What other thing is OP, a grown man, never supposed to do until after his sister does them? OP's parents are nonsensical, and I'm glad OP decided to just buy a ring and propose anyway. OP has a right to live his life too. And now let's see if the community agrees with me. Imagine Snapdragon says, for her 30th birthday, your parents can gift her therapy. I turned 30 back in August, never married. You know what happened? Nothing. The world doesn't end when you're still single at a certain age. Bright Ad 306 says, that's so weird. It's not like you're 17. A month after she turns 30? Does she own every month? Just wait until you start having kids or something before her. I get being sensitive to her feelings, but this is way over the top. I mean, they could let her pick a ring first and set it aside for the future. It sucks that they're going to be more worried about her feelings than excited for you. Then they'll wonder why you always spend holidays at the in-laws. Gothic Angel 4 says, oof, your parents kinda suck. Your life doesn't need to be on hold just because of her lack of relationship, marriage. A family ring is usually so cool, and being that grandma has already said that you can, they should not have said no. Update. I proposed on Saturday like I originally planned to. I proposed with the ring I bought after my parents denied me one of my grandmother's rings. As I said in my original post, it wasn't about money. I could afford to buy a ring. It was about being sentimental because my grandmother always told me I could have one of her rings. I didn't do anything elaborate or public. I proposed over breakfast, and she said yes. She called it the best birthday gift she's ever gotten. She had the same idea as me and had suggested we get married on April 29th, our 3rd anniversary, before I even brought it up. So that's what we're doing. We both agreed we don't want anything huge or expensive, so we're going to keep it small. It's 1:15 p.m. now, about 28 hours since I proposed. When we announced the news, my sister was upset, just like I knew she would be, and my parents were mad I didn't listen to them. I'm 31 and don't rely on my parents for money. I told my parents and sister if they're unhappy, they can skip the wedding. It would suck if I didn't have any family there, but I also don't want them to spoil this. I wasn't going to tell my fiancé what went down, but I did once my sister started melting down so she wouldn't be blindsided by any of it. She assured me she loves the ring and thinks my family is wrong. Her family had the exact opposite reaction as mine, and they were all happy for us. My 28 female best friend, 31 female, was supposed to have her wedding in mid-January. It was scheduled to be a very lavish wedding, the theme being blue, because she did not want to have white on white with the snow. My best friend was being quite a bridezilla the days leading up to her wedding, and bridezilla is not quite the word for the day of. She was being a complete bee, for lack of better words. My task, of course, was going to be something simple for someone who had done so much to help me. Her words. This task was very much not simple. The drive to the bakery was a 45-minute trip each way, and Bride suggested I drive slowly to avoid the cake being messed up. So I would have to take a separate route, which would end up being about an hour and 15 minutes on the trip back with the cake. I got up bright and early at 6 o'clock a.m. and began the trip shortly thereafter. By the time I got back to the venue with the hotels everyone was staying in, it was about 9 o'clock a.m. So as I'm unloading the cake, bride's moms start to look uneasy. I thought it was because it was freezing outside, but she called over my best friend and she went absolutely berserk. Well, somehow, she failed to inform the cake decorator that she would like the cake to be a matching blue color as well. How does one forget to do this? She admittedly denied that she forgot to inform the decorator of the color, but this was only one of the many grievances from the bride that were her own fault, that she very much blew up at and did not acknowledge they were her fault. My best friend got all in my face and told me I needed to go back ASAP. I obliged. I made the trip back to the decorator and profusely apologized as I explained the situation. Apparently, no big deal on a wedding day for someone else and a slow day for cake decorator. I FaceTimed with my friend the whole time so she could see how everything was going. She seemed very pleased over the phone and said it was perfect. I paid for the touch-up on the cake out of pocket and left. I got back to the venue at around 12 o'clock. My friend saw the cake being set up and immediately blew up once again. She accused me of swapping out the cake she had seen over the call for a different, crappier version. She did not let me even get one word in, as she backed me into my car seat and made other people back the cake into the back. She told me to come back with the correct cake, or I would be cut from the wedding. I took my chances and just drove home. I put my phone on silent and ate the cake with my boyfriend and our families. Nobody knows the real story of why I had a wedding cake randomly on a Sunday night for dinner, except for my boyfriend. I do not feel guilty. I hope the cake tasted good. OP deserved it. OP tolerated her way past what I would have. OP has the patience of a saint. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Polyester Pantsuit says, I hope there was enough to freeze the top layer to eat on her anniversary, or for her divorce. Reading Reddit for Fun says, I like this, and was like, who in the hell doesn't pay the bakery to deliver the cake to the venue on the day of the wedding? Was it just a sheet cake? Because multi-tiered wedding cake is kind of a pain in the butt to transport, and bakers are better equipped to do this, and also to do any touch-ups needed after transport. Crazy. And by the way, the request would have been a hard no from me. Update time. The ride home was good. She didn't realize I wasn't there until much later. Boyfriend and I like to call it the heist drive. About an hour and a half after I get home and tell boyfriend the story, she starts texting and calling. Voicemails on voicemails of her threatening to call the cops, send her family down to my house, which I wasn't even staying at my house that week, so she wouldn't know my address. I ignored all of the calls because I thought it was humorous. Boyfriend and I giggled every time she called and left a new voicemail. Total count was 56. Though halfway through, she resorting to telling me my dress was still there and I'd missed the ceremony. Yeah, you mean the dress that was 2 sizes too small for me and yet still insisted I could power through the ceremony with. No bull. I didn't last through the morning. Also, her pictures were royally messed up thanks to me. She had an ombre theme going with the bridesmaids in their pictures. Lightest dresses on the outside and darkest on the inside. I was the maid of honor, so my dress was to be extravagant and matched well with brides. She told me that it would completely tie the pictures together beforehand, which I didn't really pay much attention to. Seeing the photos afterwards, she was right. They looked completely screwed up and off-center. It definitely pissed her off, because she had that look I knew so well from our years of friendship in her pictures. She really had been a good friend up until a few months before the wedding, so I cut her some slack for acting irrationally, because I also tend to act from an emotional place. However, I'm just learning to stand up for myself and not take crap from people, so cutting her off was really easy when given such a good situation to do so. To those asking, yes, she did have to get a store-bought cake. It was a sheet cake that I can only assume came from Kroger or something, because I saw one very similar the weeks after. I had a really great time eating the cake with both of our families, a bonding experience that is certainly one of my dearest memories. So, I have a 4-year-old and we were at the park. I saw one of my son's friends and his dad standing with a woman who I knew looked familiar, who wasn't his wife. I'm kind of jaded and assume the worst in everyone, but I try to remind myself to not do that and to be more open-minded. Lo and behold, 2 minutes after just seeing him out of the corner of my eye, this girl he was with whispers something into his ear. She does like this flirty little giggle, and then he wraps his arms around her waist and hugs her. I'm immediately seeing red, because this guy is legitimately cheating on his wife directly in front of their kid, in public. But whatever. In my head, I'm thinking that maybe they have an open relationship, and I'm definitely not one to shame anyone's life. So at this point, I walk up to him because I'm 100% going to tell people about this, and I wanted to at least let him be aware that I saw him. So I walk up, and I'm like, "Hey, James." And he looks like a deer in the headlights, which is crazy to me, because even though this isn't a super crowded park, it's still a park, and obviously there might be people with kids who know him there. Anyway, he introduces this girl as his sister. I know that adoptive, chosen, foster, half, step-siblings exist, so it wasn't the fact that they looked absolutely nothing alike that made me know that was a lie. It was because nobody whispers or hugs on their sister like that. I think I should also add that I'm the most awkward person ever. So at this point, I bet my voice was like 100 octaves higher than it usually is, and I was like, "Oh, whoa, so great to meet you. I love your brother and his wife. Such a lovely couple." And then I snatched my kid up and left. So she doesn't have social media, and I don't have her number, but I knew she goes to that park sometimes. So I went back every single day. My kid loved it, until I saw her there. So even though I had all of this time to plan out what I was going to say to her, I had no idea. I didn't want to sound like I was accusing him of anything if he wasn't cheating. And I didn't want it to seem like I was doing an, "Aha, I caught you," if they did have an open marriage or were swingers or anything. So the totally smooth person I am legit goes up to her, and I'm like, "Oh, it was so great to meet your husband's sister. Is she his sister or yours?" I wanted to die right there. What the hell kind of question is that? She looked at me like I had 8 heads, but thank God, neither one of them has a sister. So she was just asking me questions about the woman. Anyway, it turns out he was having an affair, right in public, in a park, in front of his kid. And the worst part is that this lady was the kid's daycare teacher, and that's how they met. The wife pulled her kid, and obviously the owner of the daycare wanted to know why, and she told her. So the owner of the daycare freaked out on this teacher and put her on leave, and now the worker is saying that she's going to sue for wrongful termination, since the affair with the husband happened off daycare property, and she didn't do anything wrong during work hours. OP is a hero, and this guy was stupid. You don't poop where you eat. If he was going to cheat, and let's be honest, he probably did before, you don't do it with someone that close to you, and you don't flaunt the affair in a public place like the park. I hope his wife takes him to the cleaners during the divorce. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Deleted user says, "Good luck suing, lady. Pretty sure a daycare can fire a worker for carrying on an extramarital affair with one of the customers." Duchess Bat Penguin says, "Oh, hold up. This dummy took his child and side chick to a park where his wife also takes this kid? He is an idiot, and that's on him. I worked at a daycare. If it's a legit place, they may have a clause in there about not dating kids' parents, unless they inform the school for legal reasons." President Pug says, yes, the teacher and husband are horrible people, but the employer has no business putting her on leave. If it doesn't affect work and didn't happen on company property, then the employer has no right." I'm 28 female and was recently out with a girlfriend who told me a friend of hers was getting married soon and asked if I wanted to go as her +1. I've met the bride before through this particular friend and enjoyed our brief interactions. I also didn't want my friend to have to go by herself, so I was happy to accept the invitation. It was only later that I discovered that the groom is an ex of mine. I'd had no idea and hadn't been told. Our relationship hadn't been that great and we parted messily. Thing is, my friend knew for sure that I had dated this guy. He was in our friendship circle during our relationship, but still invited me. I rang her, and she claimed she couldn't remember, and that I'd already been put down as a +1, so it wouldn't be right for me to pull out. I contacted the bride and told her that I wouldn't be able to make it, and explained as tactfully as I could why. She was pretty understanding, and I thought that was the end of it, until I had a ton of people contacting me to say I was being selfish and trying to make things about me for refusing to go. I couldn't understand that. I just felt uncomfortable with attending, and thought I'd actually attract more attention with my presence than with my absence. I'm still having people tell me I've let down my friend, who hasn't been speaking to me, by refusing to attend as well as being immature. They're saying I should support my ex's happiness and put the past behind me. At first, I didn't believe any of that, but it's been said enough to me by this point by so many people that I'm starting to think it might be true. I just wanted to see what impartial people may think of this. Remy the Magnificent says, "Not the a-hole. You're absolutely not making it about you by not wanting to go. Instead, you're removing a potential distraction and a bit of awkwardness from the ceremony." Cool Department says, "Not the a-hole, and I am quite sure the ex would not want you there either. These people are strange, and you are behaving as any normal person would in that situation. Also, the girlfriend is really strange, inviting you and not telling you about that. I would seriously reevaluate my relationship with her. Deleted user says, "Who are all these idiots that are contacting you and saying that you are being selfish and immature? Those people really need to get a grip. You are definitely doing the right thing by avoiding the situation altogether. This could have been handled quietly, but your friend decided to make a big deal and broadcast it. You also handled it right when you contacted the bride directly to let her know what's going on. Your friend is the a-hole, and anyone that tells you you need to go are a-holes also. But you definitely are not the a-hole.